What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner. And I would be remiss if I didn't respond to, Madam and Mr. Burns' response to the president and his address to the American people. Now, the president came out with a very practical, well thought out argument that should compel any practical, logical thinking American to come to the conclusion that we do have a problem on the border. And if we need some type of security. He laid out, all the different cases, all the different problems with drugs, with trafficking, with endangering Americans, and even referenced some Americans that were killed and hurt by illegal immigrants, and showing that if we had better immigration laws or we had some type of border security, that we could avoid it. Some of these horrible tragedies. But the Democrats, when they responded, they didn't even mention those things. They didn't bring up any of those things. So we now have Mr. Burns and Madam stepping to the mic. Now, y'all might want to go get a little bit of popcorn, something like that, some sody pop, so we can enjoy this performance right here by these two knuckleheads. Okay, so let's hear what Madam and Mr. Burns have to say. Come on, where's Mr. Burns, Madam? Yeah, let's get it going.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet the needs of the American people.
Okay.
Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice.
Now, first things first. Have you ever heard of a president giving an address to the nation, and then the opposition party is given time to follow up and combat and undermine what the president just talked about? I've never heard anything like this. Is it that they just simply do not respect Donald Trump enough to where they would just totally go against such a tradition for years? President comes out, make a speech, people digest it. You might comment about it the next day in the news, but you don't do a full-blown press conference right after trying to undermine what the president just said, okay? So my question is, why are they able to do this? Well, because we live in a day and an age where, we have a shadow entity fighting on behalf of the Democrats, which is called the liberal media, which has given them a platform to do something that has never been done before. But nonetheless, listen to what she starts off by saying. That is disinformation or misinformation. Well, what's misinformation about what all he said? I don't understand. Let's just stick with the basic fundamental fact, which is it's illegal to come across our border without any type of, papers, without us saying, come on in. Let's start with that, Nancy. Is that misinformation? All right. And then what else could be misinformation? The people who were victims of illegal immigrants that died, go tell their families that was misinformation, or that the Border Patrol said that they need these things to help them do their job, not to mention that Mr. Burns and Madam is sitting here looking like two ghosts. Good evening. I don't think they blinked one time. I mean, are they alive? Can somebody go up and stick something up under their nose, a little mirror or something like that? I mean, do they need to blink? I thought that they was humans and need to give me one of these every once in a while, But no, none of them. Good evening. And it seems so disingenuous. Like we're going to read right off the script with all of our talking points to try to save our little operation that we got going on, feeding our funnel of illegal immigrants coming in here to secure our voter base in the future. That's what it really came down to. Let's hear some more.
The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts. The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions.
So the president was very clear about what he would sign and what he wouldn't sign. But apparently they don't have, they got to get the wax out the ears. So why even present that to him if you knew that's not what he was going to sign? Could it be because you knew he wasn't going to sign it? You wanted this to go down so you can say, look at him. He's shutting down the government over a wall. And could it be that you guys don't even have realistic border security in your mind, because coming up with a couple drones and listen to what they say later on about, technology to check out cars and stuff. They got these ideas for tightening up the border security. Let's hear what they have, their solutions.
But the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall.
You mean like the billions of dollars that you signed to send money down to South America, the billions of dollars that y'all were willing to give over to Barack Obama, way more than $25 billion, or the $5 billion that he's asking, and for Bush, so that they can build the wall or build some type of border security or some type of fencing, all the things that we could have built like 2 or 3 walls with the money y'all was going to give them. I don't understand. And right now we have nothing to show for all of that money. Whatever happened to it? I'm just curious. But apparently whatever y'all gave them was ineffective as well, because we still got a border problem.
A wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
The president addressed that, just like I said in my video earlier today. Mexico is going to pay for the wall one way or another. I think that's a win when you renegotiate trade deals that is going to put lots of money back into the American economic system. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, let's continue.
President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people.
Okay, so now look at the terminology. Held hostage the American people, their critical safety and things like that. Well, who's in danger? I don't understand.
And withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans.
So, kind of like the lack of veteran support that y'all was willing to give for our veterans and healthcare and all of that stuff, or could it be like the time y'all shut down the government and was going to make sure that our military didn't even get paid because y'all were fighting on behalf of DACA recipients? Is it kind of like that? I'm not sure. Were y'all worried about the safety and health of all of the American workers then? I don't think you were. Let's continue.
He promised to keep government shut down for months or years, no matter whom it hurts. That's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure.
First of all, no, we all don't agree, okay? Y'all agree only with lip service, not with action, or it would have been done by now. It's not that hard, Nance, or should I say madam. If you give me the go-ahead, the green light, and the money, I can solve the problem in a couple of days. We need to change the laws, and we need to build a wall. That's what we need to do, along with a couple other things. We can take care of it. We're the United States of America, Nancy. You're telling me we can't find a way to get this done? So apparently what y'all been doing thus far haven't been working. Why not try a wall? And if you're going to shut down the government over something, let it be something that's worth it. Okay, let's continue.
Roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation.
Oh, strong new technology to scan cars and trucks that's coming into our border, through our border. So now they're driving cars and trucks right through, across the border openings, the entries. I'm not sure. Or are they driving those cars and trucks across the rivers that they're crossing, or through the forest, or through the desert and coming over? I don't think they're coming over in cars and trucks, Nancy. This ain't like a movie where they're coming right through Border Patrol and they got the little thing under the car and the dog sniffing them. I think they're pretty more advanced than that. I don't think that they would be stupid enough to say, hey, Jose, let's drive our cars right across the border and hopefully they won't have the technology to find out if we got drugs in the car. I think they have deviated from the obvious entry and using obvious things that we would check, like cars and trucks. Now, they may, I don't know. But I know they're using things like drones and people to walk across the border. I'm just saying. Now, I look at it like this. If I or somebody else can walk straight across the border and make it to America somehow because we don't have a wall or enough resources to stop them, then why can't they just put a pack of drugs on their back and walk across? I'm just saying.
We can hire the personnel we need to facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings.
Right, right.
The fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat.
Huh. Isn't that convenient how she isolated who she identified? The fact is, women and children at the border are not a threat. Well, how many women and children are at the border in comparison to all of the men that we saw with our own eyeballs? Huh? I'm just saying. Conveniently leave those guys off, right? You want to focus on the people who you can deem to be a victim of Donald Trump's wickedness and evilness and his heartlessness. That's what you want to focus on, right, Nancy? Manipulation. Oh, I'm sorry, madam. All right, let's continue.
They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government.
Manufacturing a crisis. So the caravan of people who y'all said didn't exist was a part of our imagination. And now all those people down there in Tijuana, which the Tijuanans are upset about and dealing with, they're just fictional. They're just cartoon characters. I mean, all the video footage that we see of them trying to force their way into America and climbing up over the fence and stuff, we all just imagining that? That's not a crisis? Imagine then, if we were to just to say, hey, Border Patrol, everybody just move out of the way and let them have their way at the border. You don't think that would become a major crisis? We'd have probably about 10,000 people in a day crossing the border. All right. The only reason they're not doing that now is because with the limited resources we have, we're stopping them. Okay. So imagine if we were to pull out, back off, or they realized that we had a sorry government that wasn't going to fix it. Do you think they would stop coming? Think they'd slow up Nancy? We're creating the crisis. People like Nancy and the people like Chuck, or should I say, Mr. Burns and Madam, people like that have created the crisis. All right, it's a manufactured crisis, all right, by you guys. Now let's hear what Mr. Burns have to say. Yes, thank you, Smithers.
My fellow Americans, we address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States.
We address you tonight, Smithers, for one reason only, to lie to you.
Having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill,
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm convinced. I say, let's make it happen. I gave to a cause the other day. Yeah, the GoFundMe. I'm like, yo, if y'all won't do it, let's do it. Let's get it done. I'm convinced. A lot of Americans are convinced. The people who voted for Donald Trump are convinced. So who are you referring to, Chuck? You don't speak for me.
Shut down the government. American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum.
No, American democracy doesn't work that way, Chuck. We shouldn't govern by temper tantrums, or we shouldn't govern by the FBI trying to set up Donald Trump or coming up with fake Russia investigations that we know aren't real. We shouldn't do things like that either. We shouldn't do things like let other politicians get away with bloody murder and then waste all the money and resources going after a duly elected president that didn't even do nothing. That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't govern like that either. We shouldn't govern by trying to impeach a president for no reason because you don't like him and he's not a part of the good old boys club. That's how we shouldn't govern either. We shouldn't govern by not accepting the results of elections that we lost and that y'all claimed that, well, you know, y'all need to accept the election results if you lose, thinking that y'all were going to win and you lost and still haven't come to grips with it. We shouldn't govern like that either, Chuck. That's all I'm saying.
No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down. Hurting millions.
Now, here's the thing, Chuck, or Mr. Burns, let me just say it like this. Do you think the president would be doing this if he didn't have the support and backing of the people? If the people were saying, Trump, yeah, we voted for you, man, but nah, dog, that's not what we're looking for. Pick another fight. You think he would go through with this? Probably not. But I think he knows that the American people are behind this, and they can see through your phoniness, Burns.
Of Americans who are treated as leverage. Tonight, And throughout this debate and throughout his presidency, President Trump has appealed to fear, not facts.
What?
Division, not unity.
Now, you got to be kidding me. Appealed to fear and not facts. So, we're to believe that, first of all, let's just say it like this. Solving the border problem is not based off of fear. It's based off of common sense. Just like the Democrats try to say everything that we disagree with is because of a phobia, which is an unhealthy amount of fear over something. No, well, if you don't agree with homosexuality, you're homophobic. That means what? You're afraid of homosexuals? No, you just disagree with the lifestyle. Or same thing with gender neutrality or border control. I'm not sitting up here going, any second now these illegal immigrants gonna come up at my house. No, I'm practical. I'm an American citizen that says that's common sense. Why would you not secure your border? It doesn't make me afraid. It makes me feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I see a problem and these guys aren't addressing it. That's all it does. It just makes me say, okay, on an average, millions of Americans are being slaughtered and drug off in the middle of the night by illegal immigrants, but the ones that are victims of it could have been prevented. And I think if it happened to you or one of your family members, Mr. Burns, you'd be upset. If somebody accidentally killed Smithers by driving drunk and they shouldn't have been in the country in the first place, you'd be upset. You'd be like, release the hounds. So my question then is, what fear and phobia is he talking about? Then secondly, is it manufactured? I mean, we do have evidence of some bad things happening because of illegal immigration. So yes, it's not an overwhelming fear. But at the same time, when bad stuff happens, it makes you get a little concerned, especially when our own eyeballs see them throwing rocks and carrying their own flag and trying to rush the border. That's enough to make me go, I'm a little concerned. Didn't look like peaceful babies and mothers. That's all I'm saying, Chuck. Oh, Mr. Burns. Let's see what else Burnsy has to say.
Make no mistake, Democrats and the president both want stronger border security. However, we sharply disagree with the president about the most effective way to do it. So, how do we untangle this mess?
Yes,
well, there's an obvious solution.
What is it?
Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security.
Okay.
There is bipartisan legislation supported by Democrats and Republicans.
So bipartisan legislation that will not address the problem or solve it. So y'all can just push it further back, kick the can down the road, make false promises of correcting it, false promises of giving the president financing to take care of it, and then 5 years later, we look back and we say, where'd all the money go? Like the money y'all gave to Obama or approved to Obama and Bush. Whatever happened to it? Where's the barriers? Why aren't they working, Burnsy?
The open government, while allowing debate over border security to continue. There is no excuse for hurting millions of Americans over a policy difference. Federal workers are about to miss a paycheck.
And there's no excuse in allowing American citizens to become victims of illegal immigrants that shouldn't have been here in the first place. There's no excuse that you can give me that would justify a police officer being killed by a man that shouldn't have been in the country. Caught 2 times, drunk driving, should have been gone. Or a young lady who was killed in, 2 young ladies who were killed in, I think it was New York, by MS-13, people who shouldn't have been here. Or a football player, NFL player, who was run over by a drunk driver that was an illegal immigrant, shouldn't have been here. All of these hundreds and thousands of cases where people were killed in America by people who shouldn't have been here in the first place. There's no excuse for that, Chuck. Okay? So I'm sick of you trying to point the finger and not the thumb. Hypocritical. Burns. Keep calling him Chuck for some reason. Looks dead on Mr. Burns, along with Madam.
Families can't get a mortgage to buy a new home. Farmers and small businesses won't get loans.
Oh, now you're concerned about American workers, huh?
Most presidents have used Oval Office addresses for noble purposes. This president just used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stoke fear, and divert attention.
Now, first of all, have y'all noticed Nancy, or should I say Madam, haven't blinked the whole time? She's reading his script too, like, did he miss a word or not? But secondly, this man sits back and he talks about most presidents use, the Oval Office to make an address, and this and that. Well, guess what? Most senators and congresswomen do not take the opportunity to undermine the message that the president just gave to the nation. So what are you talking about? I guess everybody's breaking rules tonight, Burns and Madam.
From the turmoil in his administration.
Look at the eyes.
My fellow Americans, there is no challenge so great that our nation cannot rise to meet it. We can reopen the government and continue to work through disagreements over policy. We can secure our border without an ineffective, expensive wall. And we can welcome legal immigrants and refugees.
Can we?
Without compromising safety and security. The symbol of America should be the Statue of Liberty, not a 30-foot wall.
I'm so sick of him saying that. I wonder who gave him that little slogan, that pitch, that talking point. Should be a symbol of Statue of Liberty. Basically, you know what y'all should do? Shut your mouths, be dumb, naive, and vulnerable. And allow yourselves to be taken advantage of based off of my manipulation by telling you that we stand for freedom and justice for all. Let me tell you something. Just because the Statue of Liberty represents freedom and liberty, it doesn't mean stupidity. It doesn't mean don't be a sovereign nation. Let anybody who wants to come into your country just violate your immigration laws. And shut your mouths, Americans, or else we're going to call you immoral. Idiots.
So our suggestion is a simple one. Mr. President, reopen the government and we can work to resolve our differences over border security.
Yeah.
But end this shutdown now. Thank you.
Yeah. So there you have it. You got Madam and Mr. Burns with their pitch to the American people to try to contradict what the president just dropped on us, which was some heavy stuff. And I hope that the American people uses some common sense and calls in to whoever their local congressman or woman is and say, hey man, vote to build this wall, release the money. All right. President Trump gave some real hardcore data of what's really going on down there. And if Nancy and Chuck was concerned about how to do it right and to stop it from happening, they would have listened to Kirsten Nielsen when she wanted to present the data. They didn't want to talk about facts or data because guess what? Most extreme liberals and Democrats don't like to talk about facts anyway. They like to talk about emotions like the Statue of Liberty, and this is not what we represent, and walls are immoral, and we're manufacturing a crisis, and we're trying to keep America all white. And all of these things that they just drum up, but then when the border security comes out and says, we need this. Look what's going on. You know how many people die? You know how many kids we rescue? You know how many women are raped? You know how much drugs come across? They're like, You're killing us with facts, man. You're messing us all up. You know we can't argue against no facts. We need all emotion. Tell you what, y'all, everybody do this. Na-na-na-na, boo-boo, la-la-la-la, I can't hear you. That's what they do when you come with facts. La-la-la-la-la-la, shut up, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, like this, you know what you are, you're a poopy head. You know what you are, you're a dummy, you're a doodle butt. That's what you are. They go straight back to the playground tactics. Yeah, you're a stupid dummy, but you know, all that stuff. Instead of just straight coming out and saying, you know what, I don't have an argument for that because it makes actual practical sense. And it doesn't make any sense why we would just turn around as people are jumping over the border, because I wouldn't do that from my own house. I mean, if I'm sitting out there on my fancy patio like Nancy and Chuck probably have, you know, by the pool, grandkids, loved ones around that you feel like you need to protect, and out of your peripheral, you see something jump over the fence and take a scooter run right across and into your house, I don't think you just sit there and ignore that. I think you would say, immediately, we need to put things in place to stop this from happening, because I'm not saying that the dangerous people just jumping over my little fence and running into my house to get some lemonade and stuff like that, but I got to worry about my kids, my grandkids at the pool. I don't know these people's intentions. What if one of them get hurt? What if one of them knock one of my kids in the pool and my kid drowns? And it could be accidental. I'm just saying. But the fact is, if I would have stopped them from jumping over and running through my yard and going into my house, getting a little swig of lemonade, some coffee, grab a couple donuts or so, it would have never happened. So instead of using common sense like that, they want to feed you some doo-doo and tell you it's chocolate, that we shouldn't address this, and it's all manufactured. And all the footage we see is made up in our head, imagining. We're just straight coming up with stuff. Like, man, you know what? I dreamt last night that I watched people climbing up over the walls and were throwing rocks at our border patrol, and then kept coming. And then they were coming with their own flags, and they were saying things like, "We coming, y'all ain't gonna stop us." And Donald Trump, forget him. Hey, I dreamt it all, I guess. What? You dreamt the same thing? That is crazy. So wait a minute, hold on. Like 60 million of us all had the same dream? This is crazy. Some type of telekinesis? This is ridiculous. Just like Madam and Mr. Burns. Ridiculous. Can't make sense out of those two nonsenses, okay? You've been listening to Kevin in Kevin's Corner. I had to let those two have it. I knew it. I knew they was going to come out with some nonsense tonight and was going to make me do this. I didn't want to do this. I want to just enjoy the rest of my time here in Colorado, peacefully lay down, get a nap, get ready for the airplane trip. You know, I get anxiety when I get on the plane, and I sometimes got to get my nerves down, but now they done got my pressure all up, coming on TV saying stupid stuff like that. Anyway, find me Wednesday nights. Won't be there tomorrow night because I'll be flying back to Ohio, but normally I'm live on YouTube Wednesday nights and my radio blog talk show. So check me out normally on Wednesday nights. Check out Extreme Tees too. Links in the bottom. They're my sponsor. If you need a promo code, put Kevin in there. Also, if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom. Do that as well. And don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Let's go ahead and hit that 100,000 mark, and we will see you next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless.